Welcome, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the Sacramento Metropolitan Fire District regular board meeting of directors. And first thing we'll do is, Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Director Sailors.
Present.
Weber.
Present.
Sheets. Present. Gould.
Present.
Wood.
Present.
Rice is absent. Jones.
Here.
Costa.
Present.
And President Clark.
Here. This next thing we want to pledge our flag. Director Wood, would you lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we move on to the Metro Cable announcement. This meeting of the Sacramento Metropolitan Fire District will be cablecast on Metro Cable 14, the local government affairs channel on Comcast, Consolidated Communications, and AT&T UVerse cable systems. This meeting is also webcast at Metro 14 live.saccounty.gov. Today's meeting replays on Monday, May 15th at 6 p.m. and Wednesday, May 17th at 2 p.m. on Channel 14. This meeting can also be viewed at youtube.com/Metro Cable 14. Next, we go to opportunities to discuss matters of public interest within the jurisdiction, items, including items on or not on the agenda. Do we have any speakers now?
We do not have any in-person speakers. Art, will you check with our virtual audience?
Attendee, you now have the ability to unmute yourself if there's anything you'd like to present to the board. No response.
All right, hearing none, we move on to consent items. Board members, you've had an opportunity to look at the consent items. Do you have any questions, comments, anything? Okay. All
Mr.
right.
Chair, I make a motion, we adopt consent.
I second.
Motion by Director Gould, second by Director Jones. Call a roll, please, Madam Clerk.
Director Sailors.
Aye.
Weber.
Aye.
Sheets. Aye. Gould.
Aye.
Wood.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Costa.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay. Next day, we're going to move on to presentation items. We have one item, and it's a behavioral health presentation by Captain Manfredi.
Mr. President, I invited Captain Manfredi tonight to talk about this particular subject, to give us a better background, or maybe the first background, into the good work that he and others do. Really I'll tell you, it may sound silly, but out of love for our brother and sister firefighters, and they truly give of themselves to others, and I think it's important that we hear him. Yesterday, he presented to all of the chief officers in the department to make them more aware, not only of what he does, what his group does, but of how to access that for our members who are struggling. So thank you, Captain.
Right, proceed, please, Captain.
Piling it on, okay. Bear with me, I'm not used to this stuff. So, yes, President Clark, appreciate it, board. Thank you for being here, I guess, yeah. Be here. My name is Ryan Manfredi. I'm a fire captain on B shift at Station 32. I'm also peer support coordinator on B shift. So I'm giving you guys just a brief overview of what peer support is, kind of our objectives and our goals. Our main objective is to increase the education awareness and resources for our membership, both suppression and non-suppression, with the final goal of increasing our mental fitness for everybody to hopefully live a full life and also retire with not only physical health, but some mental health as well, and enjoy the benefits that we've all been working for. So I'll touch on a couple of these things. As some of the chiefs know, we can talk about this. For a while, so I'll try and make it as brief as I can. So as far as the education and awareness part, those two things are kind of tied together. We are part of a regional committee that all the fire districts in the area are part of. So it's all 522 fire districts plus Roseville, Colorado Hills, Lincoln, Rockland's a part of it now. So we all meet once a month. We all pool our money together. So each department pays a certain amount per employee. So obviously Metro Fire pays a bigger chunk. With that, we get a few more seats in classes that the committee pays for. So we do get a little bit of a benefit with that. The goal of the committee, again, is to increase the education and awareness for everybody in the region. And what's nice about having the regional committee is if Metro Fire is coming up short somewhere, we can ask Sac City or we can ask Roseville or Folsom to kind of pool our resources together if a big incident happens and we need some help, which has happened in the past. We helped Lincoln Fire when they had a big incident. Us and Sac City kind of helped not only cover stations, but help with their debriefings. With the educational component, what we're doing here at Metro Fire, we go to all of the academies. So the Recruit Academy, Captain's Academy, and the BC Academy. We don't do the Engineers Academy. They're more hands-on with mechanical stuff, so maybe they don't need it. I don't know. But we hit it. We start there. We're also going into the fire stations. So last fall, we kind of mirrored what FDNY did after 9/11. So after 9/11, they sent psychologists to the fire stations because they knew the firefighters weren't going to go get help themselves. So they brought the help to them. So we kind of tried to do that by putting peer support members in each station and having a conversation with them, talking about the resources, answering questions. And we got a lot of positive feedback with that. We had a big influx in people reaching out for help and looking for additional resources for them and their spouses. Let's see. So with the educational component, that comes along with raising awareness for not only ourselves, but also for the people we're working with. So looking for signs and symptoms of somebody who might be struggling, having poor coping skills, fatigue, what does that look like, and how do we recognize that and get them help? So we're trying to build a big wide net to capture people that might in the past have slipped through the cracks. We have about 94 peer trained individuals. They're not all suppression. The goal is always to have 10% of our workforce trained in this. So the goal has always been around 70. And obviously we're over that right now. We've got retirees, we've got SRPs, we've got some, or Metro Medics, whatever we're calling them, those individuals. We've got day staff. And so we're trying to capture each part of this organization. And so that has also been very helpful because sometimes suppression has a different perspective on things that day staff might not have, and vice versa. So also with the awareness portion, so the education awareness portions come with also classes. So like I said, the committees or the regional committee pays for these classes. We've got quarterly trainings. We've had some spousal classes for just spouses to go. So that was a big gap that I think we were missing for a while that was recognized. Sac City's peer support member recognized this about a year ago. And so we've been doing spousal classes and those are filling up within a day. So when those come out, the spouses are signing up and we have a wait list of 13 to 14 people right off the bat. So that has helped also because now the spouses are engaged also because as some of you might know, when our firefighters go to work, they don't know what we're doing for 2 days. They don't know how tired we are, what the calls are that we went on. And so a lot of the spouses have had questions. They don't know how to help us when we come home. And then we have poor coping skills and it snowballs over the years. Those are some broad stroke things that we're trying to do as far as education awareness. As far as resources, the committee vets clinicians. So we want culturally competent clinicians that can handle the kind of calls, the kind of issues that we deal with, and primarily with the suppression side. So traumatic clinicians that deal with traumatic issues. So brain spotting, EMDR, they know what a 4896 is or what the difference is between a truck and an engine. We have had an individual that went to a clinician that wasn't really up to speed on what we do, and she apparently needed a therapist after the meeting because it was very disturbing. So yeah, so it's one of those things. So we have a therapist on the committee, and we also have a peer support specialist. They'll go to different therapists and have a meeting with them and talk to them and see if they're going to be a good fit for us, and then we add them to our list of clinicians. So we're adding resources that way. We're part of, the administration, previous administration has budgeted a scholarship for WCPR. And if you don't know what that is, that's kind of an intensive trauma retreat. It's hard to get into and it's expensive. And the administration has budgeted for 2 people to go to that a year. And we've sent at least 2 every year since I've been involved in this. And in the past, I think we've sent more than that and been able to figure it out. We're teaming up with Warfighter Overwatch, which is a nonprofit involved with veterans primarily, and they're getting into first responders as well, which is a big benefit to us because a lot of times the financial component can be extensive. And so they are paying for a lot of treatment for us. I think they spent $70,000 for Sac City members last year. So these are just, like I said, broad strokes. I ramble on, I apologize, because there is a lot going on in a lot of different areas. Operationally, I must say that we've never had an issue from the BC rank on up to the fire chief as far as any needs. Even if it comes to budgetary items, we're always able to discuss those and figure things out. And if something happens on shift, I've yet to have an issue where BC or an AC said, no, we can't do that. They've always said, make it happen, whatever we need to have to help out with that situation. It's been very supportive, which has been great. And I appreciate it being recognized. We do have a peer support or a peer canine program that's, I assume, getting close to getting finalized. Chief Green and Captain Pullis are working on that. And we hope to see that in the next fiscal year. And let's see, future planning. Obviously, we have the agreement between the local and the administration with some behavioral health resources coming up in later in this year. We hope to have a conversation with how that gets used. And the goal is to change the culture at the fire service, kind of like back in the 80s and 90s when physical fitness was recognized as a need, and now we have a coach full time, and it's now we have the best equipment around. Having that same approach to the mental fitness portion of this, and so that's kind of the goal. I know it takes some time and money's got to be involved, and that's a part of it. But I feel like we're well on our way with that. And also, in my opinion, it would be nice to have a peer support member on days just to deal with the day in and day out. Right now, there's 3 coordinators one on each shift, and we're doing the best we can part-time at work. Sometimes there's a lot, and sometimes there's nothing happening, but it'd be nice to have somebody on days that can kind of handle the day-to-day operations of this and getting things planned out. That's just my pitch to you. With that, I'm a little bit over my time, so if I can answer questions if you have them. And if you want a deeper conversation on my 32 on B shifts, you can come by anytime and we can talk.
Yes, we have a question. Go ahead, Director.
Captain, thank you very much for your presentation tonight. Thank you for all the volunteer hours that you all do in this super important area. I have just 2 questions.
Yes.
I hope that your group regionally and even locally are collecting anonymous disaggregated data. I think it's important if you talk about futures and what resources, including somebody in the administration days, we want to see the data of just the workload that you all have, the number of contacts, maybe the hours saved, those kinds of things, because I think that data is going to be very, very helpful because we're going to be kind of at the cutting edge of some of this stuff.
Absolutely.
And I think that would be helpful. The second thing is I'd like to hear what kind of relationship your group has or intends to have with the clergy that have been around for decades in the fire service in this region. Having had an opportunity to use that service at least once in my life from this agency, I can tell you it's priceless. And so I know what you're doing is intense and helpful. What kind of relationships do you guys have together between you and the clergy?
So to answer your first question, as far as when EAP gets used, it's easy to track who's using it and for what, but we don't know who's using it. That makes sense. It's all confidential.
Right.
If maybe you don't know, we're in a transition period right now where MHN, who's our provider, is dropping us at the end of June.
Okay.
And we're hoping to go with Concern. And it sounds like we're making some strides to make that happen. And the reason we want that is they're offering the same amount of services. And the clinicians that we've vetted take Concern. So that would be, we're hoping that happens. It looks like it shall. And that helps us also track the services that are the clinicians at least. As far as the peers getting used, it's hard because one of the biggest things with this is it has to remain confidential as far as somebody comes and talks to me, I can't just go tell somebody else. And we don't really have a tracking.
Well, and I get the
Yeah.
anonymous nature and the confidential nature of this. I just think that we need to know the workloads that you're being put under so that we can see the positive impact that you're having.
Yeah.
And then that's obviously where resources come. So
Absolutely.
we obviously don't want to violate any,
Right.
HIPAA, HRPA, and all that. But I think it's important for us to know just how much workload you all are putting in. And so I would just encourage us to come up, we've been to the moon, I think we can come up with something that maintains an anonymity in this situation.
Absolutely.
And then the second question about the clergy.
So about the
what are we doing
clergy,
there?
yes, Kevin Snyder is still the main chaplain in this area, and he's extremely busy, but he is heavily involved in behavioral health and responding to calls and being part of peer support. He's also on our committee as well.
Okay,
He is training additional chaplains.
good.
And so they are in the process. We asked for an update this past month. They're getting ready to do ride-alongs. And apparently that's the last part.
Oh, good.
So hopefully we get some more ride-alongs out there, more chaplains out there to increase those services with us. We also can team up with, I think Folsom PD has a chaplain that we've used in the past if he's unavailable. The regional portion of this is helpful because if somebody can't cover it, we're able to find other resources that might be able to. So yes, they are heavily used, and Kevin has taken the brunt of that over the last, he's been doing this since the 80s. So he's very tired probably, but he's very experienced.
Okay, Director Wood.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Captain, it's good to see you again. Appreciate
good to see you
the
too.
report and the input, and thank you for all that you and your committee members and the others do. Director Gold raised something that now I want to follow up on in addition to the other question I had, but on the chaplains, the regional, as you're bringing them in, are you looking for non-denominational or secular chaplains as well as other faiths?
I can ask Kevin Snyder how he went about doing that. I don't know off the top of my head. I would have to ask him how he.
Just think our support should reflect the membership in our community as well.
Absolutely. I can ask Kevin about that.
The other question is just kind of is there something that I know you mentioned ultimately you'd like to see a peer coordinator on day. Is there something else anything that you want from us, any sort of a wish list or anything that you want us to consider or keep in mind, or how can we help you? So I guess what I want to ask.
Yeah. I wasn't ready for that one. Honestly, as far as a budget, our budget this year that Sheep Farms agreed to has been very nice because it was a little bit bigger than what we're used to. And that's been nice because it helps us look at additional classes just for Metro. Some of the issues we have as a regional area is they're regional classes, so everybody gets to have a shot at them. And if we don't get in, unlike the spousal class, so that one, we don't get so many seats dedicated to us. It's first come, first serve on those. So having an increased budget helps us reach out to additional clinicians to have classes just for Metro Fire. The spousal class to me has been the biggest success we've had recently because the spouses are just itching for more information. And so if we could put more of those on, that would be great because they're the ones that see the issues first. When we go home and we're having problems, they're the ones that are going to notice it first. That's a quick answer. If I thought about it, I'm sure I could come up with more.
I'm sorry, the spousal class, I understood that there was at least somebody starting to make that kind of a pitch or discussion during academies now. Is that your group or is that someone else?
That's us.
Oh, good. Okay.
So yeah, so we have an academy coming out, what is it, a week or two.
The
So
19th, yeah.
Captain Pullis has always, he gives them a book. It's called I Love a Firefighter. He gives a book to the spouse and has a talk with them and goes over kind of the things to prepare for. I don't know how much of it they're able to comprehend because they're excited that their spouse is off in their job that they want. So it's nice having those additional classes to reinforce some of those things he's talking about.
We're getting them in early at least.
Yes,
Good.
yeah, we're starting to, and we're trying social media. We do videos. There's other ways we're trying to, and I'm not a social media guy, but we try and spit it out as often as we can to get as many people as we can.
Thank you, Captain.
Sure.
Director Gould had a minute.
So Captain, just to follow up, a couple of things. I love that you're doing that spousal thing. We may want to broaden that term to partner or
Yeah.
whatever, in case it's not a spouse.
Mhm.
The other thing I would really encourage you to do, and I'd support the funding if we needed to, and that's we need to start talking to the children of these families, teens, young kids. And so I'm super excited you're having great successes with the spouse or partner. But I really think we can push that a little bit and look at what we can do for those young people that are in those homes as well. And so I would just support that and then see you become a social media guy. So that'd be awesome.
I get
Thanks.
the kids to do it for me.
Thank you, Mr.
All
Chair.
right,
Yeah.
Director Jones?
Thank you, Captain. Appreciate the presentation.
Absolutely.
Two things. One, Director Gould is onto something there in terms of tracking the amount of time. So we don't need names, but just hours. Kind of like a lawyer keeps track of time. And that would be very beneficial so we could see a way to evaluate the workload.
Absolutely.
I don't mean to put more burden on you, but
No,
some
it's
little check offs, so we have an idea. And then the second thing is I'll be asking our clerk to reach out to you because I'd love to come by your station and talk a little bit more offline on this stuff.
Sounds great.
So thank you. Thank you, Captain.
Absolutely. Welcome.
I just wanted to say thank you so much. I think that, mental health has historically had a really negative connotation, and bringing it to the forefront and making it humanized, that we all have something, and, the spousal support, partner support, you don't know what you don't know until
Right.
you're in it. And then you're kind of like, oh my gosh, how do I, as a partner, how do I fix this kind of a
Right.
thing? And so I think that it's so important that we are really focusing on mental health and making it a priority that is just as important as physical health. So, I love the passion. I think it's fantastic, and just kudos to you and your team for what you guys are doing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Captain Manfredi,
You're very
for
welcome.
that valuable service and. thank you for your work.
Thank you, President Clark.
All right, next on the agenda, we move on to action items. We're going to budget amendments for Air Hops, 212A and 212B mid-year budget. Deputy Chief Mitchell.
Thanks, President Clark, and good evening, board members. Little known fact, Captain Manfredi and I played baseball together at UC Davis for a year, so we have a long-standing relationship. So I love sitting there
How'd you
watching
do?
him squirm at the podium. And I was texting him earlier, and he was very nervous, so it's good to see all your questions. So,
Right on.
How'd you do?
well, he only stayed with us for 1 year, and then I think you went to become a Hornet, didn't you? Across the causeway?
You still haven't answered the question.
Yeah, not great,
How'd your team do?
not great. We didn't.
Lost him, lost him.
Both. It wasn't him.
Sexy.
See,
It
you're
wasn't him.
mumbling now. so I-
Figured that part out. So, anyway, I have with me tonight, Special Operations Battalion Chief Grant Russell, because both the action items before us tonight are transfers for supporting the
Yes, right.
special operations programs. And I believe the first one on the agenda is for air operations.
Yes.
So back on March 16th of this year, the FAA issued an airworthiness directive effective April 20th of 23, affecting our Goodrich external hoist that we have on Metrocopter 1. There were two parts to it. There's a potential clutch issue that was identified. And so the first part was of the airworthiness directive was, is the clutch you have okay? Which fortunately we determined, yes, our serial number is one of the rare ones where that clutch mechanism was okay. The second part of the AD was there's a requirement to maintain testing protocols now moving forward to make sure that the clutch stays okay on that external hoist. So in order to do that, and if we don't do that, as it went back in for a 10-year service, they would volunteer to keep the hoist for us, which we want to try to avoid. So in order to bring that testing ability in-house, which they previously had offered us through their company, and they've stopped doing that, we're coming to you tonight to request a change to the mid-year budget, transferring monies from the CPT General Operating Fund to the CPT Capital Facilities Fund of $13,700 to purchase that testing equipment to maintain the in-house capability of testing the hoist and making sure that our members that are utilizing it are safe, as well as the public that we serve utilizing that hoist. So it was an unexpected budgetary expense, again, that came at the end of this fiscal year. Fortunately, due to some cost savings we recognized due to a separation of one of our mechanics and an inability to fill due to qualified mechanics, we were able to grab some of that dollars as we near the end of the fiscal year to make this happen. So with that, I'm here before you tonight to make a request that you adopt the budget amendment to allow us to do that. Happy to take any questions.
Do we have any
So is
questions?
Chief Russell.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion, we adopt staff's recommendation.
Second.
Motion by Director Gould, second by Director Wood. Call the roll, please, Madam Chair. I mean, Madam. Madam.
Director Saylor,
Aye.
Weber.
Aye.
Sheets. Aye. Gould.
Aye.
Wood.
Aye.
Jones. Costa.
Aye.
Clark.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, and continuing, the budget amendments for water rescue, 212A and 212B mid-year budget.
I did fail to recognize that Chief Russell wasn't going to be here originally, and I should have had him do this now that I know he's here. So I surprised him even by bringing him up. So
Okay.
so this next item, after the recent floods that we experienced, as well as a long-term strategic plan based on our water rescue program of realizing we had some abilities to increase our service delivery. We are coming before you tonight to request another transfer over to capital facilities. Currently, we have limited low water and creek response capabilities in dynamic water. When we have low flows on the American River, which we experience often, obviously in the middle of our heavy season usage out there on that waterway, as well as some other areas in our district. We do currently have static water capability with our John boats and our jet boats as well for the higher water flows. But in that interim piece of the low water conditions, we need to bridge that gap. Previously, we did have equipment that was available through the State Office of Emergency Services. However, there are some reasons that have been discussed before. In addition to when we did have the limited capabilities that we recognized through our flooding season, those boats are usually deployed. If we did have them, which would leave us here home without coverage, as well as the need every time we would want to use those to have to reach out to the other agency to request access. This current budget transfer and our ability to bring these internally organization allows us to have equipment that we own, we control, we maintain, and it falls within our strategic plan for moving forward in our water rescue program. This also allows us to be able to do our own internal boat operator course that we need to do to maintain currency, as well as bring on and train new boat operators to that high level of proficiency that we so much enjoy here in Metro Fire. So it was not originally identified in this current fiscal year's budget, 22-23, but we've identified some monies in two different funds due to some inability to schedule some training classes because of post-COVID. They've been very limited. These are specialized training classes that are outside of our area that we've been sending people to. We had a line for that. It wasn't able to be used, as well as what was the other one? There was water rescue. Oh, and then within they're both really classes. So the training education services line and the water rescue line as well. So the total is we're looking for $7,000 from the water rescue education services line to the water rescue defund of $7,000 again, and then $33,000 from the training education services line under rescue, which is that limited availability of classes, to the water rescue defund for a total of $40,000. That will give us two fully outfitted IRB boats for those low flow conditions. So we're recommending adopting this additional budget amendment through your direction. Take any questions.
Do we have any questions? Chief Richard? Yes, Director Weber.
Are you talking equipment or training? Are we buying new boats? Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah. So some of these were initially going to be training. Sorry, I kind of fumbled through that. I wasn't following my script that he so eloquently put together. We're moving it from there to purchase two new IRB boats, fully outfitted with motors and everything to be able to deploy those. So we have the first out and then training capabilities as well.
As well as training with them. You just said that. So, all right, thank you.
Director Sailors.
So can you go ahead and fully explain what fully outfitted means?
So it's the boat, so it's an inflatable rescue boat. So it's the boat, the hull, the motor, excuse me, fuel tanks and everything except the trailer. We already own the trailer.
Okay.
So it's the boat, everything to put the boat on the water and put it in service the day it arrives.
So does this include dry suits, wetsuits,
No.
helmets? Okay.
Those are, we have an adequate supply of that and we have a replacement plan that's been put in place that we've been closely following. So as stuff gets close to being worn out, it goes into our training cache and we replace the frontline stuff with the newer, more modern equipment.
What is the lifespan of these boats?
If they're well maintained, 10 to 20 years.
Okay. Thank
So
you.
that means storing them not in the sun and not exposed to the sun.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that report.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion, we adopt again staff's recommendation.
Second.
Director Gould has a motion and the second by Director Wood. Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Director Saylor,
Aye.
Weber,
Aye.
Sheets. Aye. Gould,
Aye.
Wood,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Costa,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
motion passed.
Okay, thank you. Next, we move on to reports, President's report. I have none. Fire Chief's report, Interim Chief Harity.
Thank you, Mr. President, board members, my colleagues in the department and members of the public and staff. I'd like to first announce that we welcome Peter Noble, who was hired on May 8th as a facilities technician, so he'll be helping out there. Our human resources is doing recruitment, receiving letters of interest from suppression paramedics for the position of tactical emergency medical support, TIMS, a paramedic, and the final filing for that is 4 p.m. on June 9th. The district is also accepting applications both internally and externally for an administrative specialist position. Final filing is 4 p.m. on May 31st. I'd like to congratulate the following personnel who successfully completed the supervising inspector examination recently and have been placed on the eligibility list. We have first Rebecca Lita and second Christian Ganya from our CRRD, so they're doing well. In 2020, the board of directors developed and adopted a strategic plan for the district, which provides both guidance and policy direction for organizational planning and decision-making. We're going to work again on that on Saturday, of course. One of the key strategies of the plan has to do with our own members, the people of Metro Fire, with an emphasis on the culture here at Metro, which means the values and principles and dynamics of our fire department as a whole. The Metro Way project was initiated to address this particular strategy for you and for all of us by providing a set of values and principles that define the ideals of how we actually accomplish our mission and work together, as well as to articulate our cultural philosophy, setting the framework for just about everything that we do, all of our relationships. And so it's with great pleasure and some humility that I announce that the official integration of the Metro Way into all district operations commenced yesterday. Although it became official yesterday, this department, its membership have been integrating the values and principles of the Metro Way long before the adoption of the plan and the finalization of the Metro Way document in 2020. It's already been incorporated as a reference material for promotional exams and is in the process of being integrated throughout all district processes as we move forward. In addition to the document that's been sent out, and our personnel members were provided with an introductory video and a PowerPoint that illustrates the importance of integrating the Metro Way into all aspects of what we do and really kind of how we think about ourselves as members, how we relate to other members, and how we relate to those whom we serve. And this project was a significant undertaking, and I'd really like to thank and recognize and applaud the hard work of all the members of this department who took part in bringing this project across the finish line. And so we'll kind of see together how it proceeds forward. I'd like to remind you that the California Firefighters Memorial, this is kind of a save the date for us all, is on Sunday, October 14th downtown. And we received notification recently of the names of members of Metro Fire who will be added to the wall this year, including Kyle Rutherford, Jeffrey Vitti, and we believe Tim Rosinski will be added to the wall as well. So today, I want to thank the board members and all our staff who were present out at Station 63 for the line of duty dedication to engineer Ronald Russell. It was honestly quite a moving event, and it was nice to dedicate another fire station to one of those of our past members who gave his all for us. And then also remind you that Saturday we'll be together again. We have our strategic planning workshop, begins at 9 a.m. So thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Chief. Do we have any questions of the Chief? All right, moving on. Operations report by Chief Mitchell.
All right. Thank you, President Clark again and board. A couple items from operations tonight. You heard earlier, the Fire Academy 23-1, Be Humbled or Get Humbled, graduates next Friday, May 19th. I believe you all received an invitation to that. So looking forward to see as many of you there as that can make it. That would be great for our new members coming out. Secondly, wanted to follow up on our special meeting that we had earlier this month about the service delivery presentation and just give you an update. We'll be addressing your direction for the service delivery proposals that were asked for at our next regularly scheduled board meeting on May 25th. That will be an action item we'll bring before you and have some good discussion. Looking forward to that coming up here in the near future. And then finally, I'm going to take a little bit of an opportunity to address what Chief Haverty mentioned and that you all are aware of about this Saturday in our strategic planning workshop, and set the stage a little bit for what that workshop is going to look like. And just to reinforce the idea that strategic planning process we're going to bring you is really that sustainable process that we need, where the board can be the most effective in providing the vision for Metro Fire. I relate it to on an incident where you have the planning process. It's a sustainable process you go through over and over, and it comes out with successful outcomes. That's kind of how in my mind, I'm relating it to this process we're going to talk about this weekend. Understanding and utilizing the standardized process for our organization allows 3 distinct benefits: better and clearer communication, both with you and with our members, as well as the community we serve; a better understanding of the plan and vision for where we are going to support the community we serve, our members, and the organization in a balanced way, in a balanced approach; and then an improved decision-making for budget and policy development, again, from your level, to be able to help us move towards those strategic planning goals now and into the future. Our intent is to make sure we fully integrate this process moving forward during this coming fiscal year, the 23-24, utilizing the framework and one of the outputs that we've been working on a lot of staff have been working on the standards of cover document we'll talk a lot about. And then we anticipate fully making the change for the next fiscal year in 24-25, starting there and moving forward to be able to develop that long-term plan that we can keep moving forward through and adapting as we go. I think it's important to recognize that we as an organization do a whole lot very, very well. So this isn't taken away from any of that. We do a phenomenal job across the board in many areas, but just like anywhere, a better framework is needed to provide that clearer path forward. And so we're looking forward to doing that on Saturday, understanding that this change will be incremental to reach that level of success. It didn't happen overnight, and we're not going to fix it overnight. So as far as the framework and the vision, we can do it better moving forward. It's going to take us some time to get there. And I also believe that this workshop on Saturday is very timely, knowing that on the 25th, we'll bring back before you those service delivery proposals to look at. This will help us look at the FDM and MMP service delivery, and knowing that the output from that meeting is anticipated to address the 3 items amongst many others that you were identified at that special board meeting: minimizing brownouts and health and wellness of our members and the families through this summer season that's coming up; being as close to cost neutral as possible, or actually recognizing a cost savings if we can get there, to support fiscal accountability through the next fiscal year; and then providing the best service delivery we can to the community and the support for our members that we want to do every day, that we do every day, and we want to continue to grow that. So we're looking forward to that as an output. So it's very timely in how this is going to all play out here with those. So again, a lot of hard work has gone into preparing for the workshop, and we're really looking forward to spending those hours together this weekend and figuring some stuff out. So with that, I conclude my report and take any questions if there are.
Thank you for that report. Are there any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Chief. We next administrative report, Chief Bailey.
Good evening, Board Directors, Board President, Fire Chief, Ty Bailey, Deputy Chief of the Administration. A couple quick updates for you. First and foremost, Sean Scollard was on administrative leave for 30 days, helping us out, really working through some, I would say, minor issues, but it was really great having him working with us. I think we got a lot done with everything from the work comp through, you know, some of the challenges from day-to-day operations, not operations, I'd say just personnel issues. So greatly appreciated. And I know Matt and I, over the last 6 months, have worked through many small issues that could have become much larger. And it's, you know, good to have him on days so that we can get that completed. So thank you. Community Relations Division, we have an open house, Station 68 on May 27th from 10 to 12. Fire camp is coming in July, so stay tuned. Brenda will have an update for you there. Currently, the RFP is being completed by the team that volunteered to go through all that information. It's to be completed by May 17th. So thanks for everyone who stepped up to go through that process to help us out. Finance, we're in the final stages of selecting a firm to complete our annual audit over the next 3 years. A recommendation will be coming to the board on May 25th. And finance is currently working on final adjustments for prelim budget. That'll go to finance and audit on May 25th. And then it'll come to you for final approval on June 9th. And that's for the 23-24 fiscal year. Recruitment. So logistics technician interviews were on the 9th through the 11th. I will say I was surprised today. We had 3 no-shows for that. So it's a great job, great opportunity for people, but that's kind of the market we're in. Not only is it hasn't been that way for the firefighter selection process, as well as the EMTs and paramedics, but the trend continues in other divisions. BC promotional recruitment closes on the 26th of May. The captain's written exam is tomorrow morning. Good luck to everyone who's going through that process. We have 2 MIH providers that are through the backgrounds and ready to start at a determined date in the future. Once I get a final date, we'll give you an update, as well as 2 fire inspectors start date on May 15th. The board clerk position will, she will begin on May 22nd. Nothing over there? And then 2 office technicians. We have 2 vacancies. We have 1 through the background process, start date in June as well. Arson investigator will be in June, and 1 accounting specialist. Should be completed by the end of the month through the background process and everything final and completed. We still have 3 paramedics and 11 EMTs that are through background based on the outcome of the next board meeting, determine where that goes. And we started with 22 paramedics through the background process, and we currently have 18 that are left in that process. And it looks like we're going to have all 18 of those that are going to be successful. So more to come on that. And then last but not least, the reserve firefighter recruitment, we have completed 5 backgrounds to fill those vacancies. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer those. Not, I will. Yeah.
You mentioned RFP. What was that in reference to?
Sorry, the RFP that is being completed is for our work comp, third party.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Chief.
All right, thank you.
Great report. Next, support services report by Deputy Chief Wagaman.
Good evening, President Clark, Board of Directors, Fire Chief Haverty, Tyler Wagaman, Deputy Chief of Support Services, with your support services update. As I'm sitting in the back of the room, I'm hearing the Fire Chief's report and reports from the other deputies, and looking at my list and kind of checking things off. And as much as I don't want to duplicate their efforts, it's just reinforcing how much we work together each and every day and how much the system is all tied together. The work of one are the results of another. So I just want to reinforce that with you here this evening. First, on the facilities front, as the fire chief alluded to, a new hire, Pete Noble. Pete, I had a chance to sit down and have coffee with him yesterday. One of the highlights of my job is getting to learn everything about our new team members, and come to find out, we were born and raised in the same area. We went to the same junior high school. We went to the same high school. We just happened to be about 8 years apart, but we have some unique things that we share. And I think that's really cool. And he's going to be a great member in addition to the facilities team. We're lucky to have him. On the facilities front, one of the big projects they're going to be tackling here in the very near future is replacing 3 AC units at Station 26. And the reason why I mention this is because we have the expertise in our team to take on these types of projects ourselves. It saves us an astronomical amount of money. A project of this magnitude can cost in excess of $100,000 to replace 3 commercial AC units. We're going to be doing that in-house at a fraction of that cost, so we then allocate the savings onto other portions of this organization where it is direly needed. After that, Station 22 and AC replacement. Recently walked the Zinfandel training site with the somewhat of a transition with OES leaving and us staying. Now is a good time to walk through the facility. We're going to do a little cleaning up, some weed abatement, clean the front signage, fix the gate, and really this in preparation for the $13 million grand project that we're going to start to work on here in the very near future. On the facilities front, another new hire, Jeff Comer. I have not had a chance to speak with him yet, but he's next on my list if he's listening here tonight. You're going to get an email from me here real soon. Also, 6 new ambulances, long awaited. In the middle of COVID is when we ordered those. They finally arrived. They look great. They're a little different. They're burly. They're monsters. But we know they're going to work out well, and they're going to certainly work better than an ambulance with 250 to 300,000 miles on it. We will get those into service just as quickly as possible as soon as their communication division has an opportunity to install the necessary comms equipment in those ambulances so they're capable. Also, 2 brand new Type 5 fire engines are being put into service, one of which I believe hit the road here today. One will be going to Station 108, so congratulations, Carmichael, as well as Station 111. So congratulations, Rio Linda in Alberta. On a community risk reduction side, thank you to admin, human resources staff, as well as the leadership on a community risk reduction, putting together a successful supervisory inspector testing process. And as the chief indicated, 2 successful candidates in that process. And lastly, interviews for a logistics technician, which occurred over the last 2 days. And we hope for another successful candidate and add another great person to the logistics team. That concludes my report, unless you have any questions for me.
Fantastic. Any questions? Thank you for a great report, Chief.
Thank you.
Okay. Next, we have Metro Fire Fighters Local 522 report. DC Manco.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening. First off, I'd like to thank the chief for bringing Captain Manfredi here to give his presentation. The value that Ryan and Captain Poulos and the whole team bring to this organization cannot be overstated. I've been on the phone with both of those individuals more times than I can count at wee hours of the morning, ensuring that we're taking care of our members both on and off duty. So thank you to the organization for prioritizing that program and for Ryan and everything that he and his team do. I'm proud of him for coming up here and stealing the thunder a little bit. I was going to talk about how maybe we should look at funding that position. I did hear today at general membership that the city is continuing to fund their peer support coordinator. They do it under the training division. It's somebody assigned in the training division, and their top priority is peer support, and then they take ancillary projects. So maybe in the future we could look at something like that. But I did speak to this board's support of mental health and what we did within that last contract negotiation, and as some of those benefits trigger for a peer support clinician for our members, I think that impact will be huge. And also we have over half of our membership obtain that behavioral awareness class that triggers some of the benefits that we also put inside that negotiation. So really positive on all those fronts. So thank you for your support in bringing Ryan here, sir. I'd like to report that last week we had the CPF legislative conference down at the Capitol, where myself, a number of 522 folks and labor leaders from up and down the state hit the halls at the Capitol. a large part of our message circled around AB 40 and looking for our elected support on that assembly bill. And I'd like to report that coming out of all offices, I feel like our message was supported. We have moved the ask a little bit to a 30-minute wall time and coordinated with some local control there. And we got a really positive response from assembly members based on that. So we see that moving forward. And there was other bills that we talked about too, as far as benefits, supporting the membership up and down the state. But AB 40 was a big topic, and it was a good legislative conference that we had. Prior to Ledge, we had Cap to Cap, and prior to that was CalJack, and I don't believe that I've reported to you since then. We had a lot of good conversations at the CJAC conference down in Southern California. And since then, last week, we had a lot of follow-up conversations regarding paramedic training, career development tracks, partnering with the CJAC program. And so maybe that will make its way into our conversations on Saturday. But I'm really happy with the progression of that conversation and working with Chief Lozano and Chief Rudnicki to look at what that pathway might look like for our organization and some of our regional partners. So really good information that we'll be able to share there. I'm also excited to share that we have had the opportunity to talk to a number of chief candidates from all over the state too. I know that you, seems like on closed session, will be having those conversations, and we are answering the call when people want to learn about Metro Fire and understand the labor management relationship here. It gives us an opportunity to pick their brains a little bit too. So it's exciting that those conversations are happening, and I expect my phone to keep ringing, hopefully. Coordinated with some other local electeds, specifically in the city of Rancho Cordova. A number of us have talked about Measure H and that sales tax initiative that is over there. On Tuesday, they had a special board meeting where President Jameson was in the room and able to speak in open session about a partnership with them moving forward to look at other ways to increase services within the city. And there was a real positive response. A number of council members spoke openly about partnering on those things and looking forward. So I don't know really what that's going to look like in the short term, but there's a large percentage of their Measure H allocation that is prioritized for public safety as it was presented to the community out there. And clearly those electeds want to continue that conversation. So good news on that front, and hopefully we'll keep pushing together forward on that. Had a shop steward meeting over in B13 last week, supported local business and had a number of shop stewards there where we were able to talk about a lot of the good things that are going on. General membership today had many Metro members in attendance and heard reports from some of our other units and took some of that and started working on plans and maybe some things we can do here and other places we can partner together with them. Station dedication today. Again, like the chief had said, to be able to recognize Ronald Russell and his sacrifice to the community was very impactful and meaningful. So appreciative to be a part of that. And then I do appreciate the chief also talking about the Fallen Firefighter Memorial on October 14th. Where both Jeff and Kyle will be going on the wall. I also want to make note that the Colorado Springs Memorial at the IFF level will be on September 16th, and we'll be putting Kyle on the wall there in Colorado Springs this year as well. So we hope to have a large contingent going back to Colorado. Let's see, Chief Mitchell talked about the deployment meeting that we have scheduled for Monday to come together and then hopefully have some options to present to you the final board meeting of this month after our last special board meeting. So excited about that. And thank you for the direction that will get us back into the room there. We'll be signing up 12 new firefighter recruits that will be probationary firefighters here after the graduation on the 19th. We'll be visiting with them here on the 16th. Good luck to all the captain test candidate. That didn't come out right. The people taking the captain's test tomorrow. Good luck to all of them tomorrow morning. And unless you have any questions, see you all Saturday.
Do you have any questions? Thank you, Chief.
Cheers.
Okay, we move on to committee and delegate reports. Executive committee, next meeting to be determined. We go on to Communications Center JPA, DC Wagman.
Good evening again, Board of Directors. The Com Center JPA Board last met on Tuesday, May 9th. In attendance was AC Wilson from Folsom Fire, AC Williams from Sacramento City Fire, Chief Rodriguez from Consumnes Fire, and myself. There were no action items. However, we did have a presentation. And as previously mentioned, we secured a consulting contract with Dr. Kimberly Miller Consulting, and she provided an outstanding presentation to the board that morning on the 9th. Here's just a brief overview of what she's going to do. She's going to conduct and organize, look at an organizational analysis to help the comm center evaluate their strengths, weaknesses, growth areas, as well as develop an effective direction for the future of the center. This, of course, will be tied with our strategic plan, which we're currently working on. She will do this by gathering data from all members of the organization, and she wants to hear from the voices of each and every one of them. Executive leadership, organizational efficiencies, perception of the organization by the employees, employee rapport, communications, job satisfaction, psychological well-being, evaluation of the employee promotional process, employee value and recognition, conflict resolution, and accountability. So a very multifaceted evaluation, and I'm very eager to see the results of this process. That's going to take about 12 months for her to gather together. We look forward to working with her during this extensive endeavor. Also, on a separate front, I would like to bring to your attention a recent appointment. Very excited to hear this. Casey Quintard was appointed by the U.S. Department of Transportation to a position on the 911 PSAP call taker dispatcher on the National Emergency Medical Services Advisory Council, or also known as NMSAC. But I'd like to read you the letter that he received. It says, "Dear Mr. Quintard, the U.S. Department of Transportation is pleased to appoint you to serve as the 911 PSAP call taker dispatcher sector representative on the department's National Emergency Medical Services Advisory Council, also known as NMSAC, for the next 2 years, beginning at the date of this letter. NMSAC serves as an advisory body to the department and our partners at the Federal Interagency Committee on Emergency Medical Services. NMSAC is responsible for providing advice and making consensus-driven recommendations concerning EMS activities. Your experience and leadership will aid and value its insight and perspective to the continued help and further MSAC's mission. Thank you for your willingness to contribute your time and expertise, as well as work as an integral member with this committee." This was signed Pete Buttigieg. So this is a very prestigious appointment, and I have no doubt that Casey Quintard is going to be a perfect representative for a position like this, coming from a dispatch center that takes in over 500,000 calls a year and dispatches out over 250,000. And he is incredibly capable. He has worked as a lead training instructor for our new dispatcher for several years. I can't speak to anybody else who would be more fitting for a position of this and represent Sacramento County, Sacramento Regional Fire, in our dispatch center at a national level. So congratulations, Casey. End of report.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? All right. Thank you, Chief. Okay, next we go on to Finance and Audit Committee. Director Wood.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Finance and Audit Committee has not met since we last met. Our next meeting will be May 25th at 5 o'clock in these chambers.
Thank you, Director. Policy Committee, Director Costa.
Thank you. Nothing new to report. Our next meeting is to be determined.
All right. Next, we move on to board and board member questions and comments. We'll start with Director Sailors.
I have no comments tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Director Sailors, we go to Director Costa.
Thank you. Just wanted to thank the training team for the opportunity to come out and observe fire training. I didn't participate, but when I got home after that, my wife said to go shower. So, but it was just great to see all the work that you guys are doing out there. So thank you for the opportunity.
All right. Thank you, Director. Director Weber.
I have no comments. Thank you.
All right. Moving on, Director Sheets.
Thank you. Just a few things. I first want to say thank you, Sherry, for stepping in, being the interim clerk, and you've been amazing. I know you had big shoes to fill, so thank you for being available and helping. I want to wish everyone, if they're working or not, a happy Mother's Day. I do want to say a special thank you to Chief Lozano and the staff who assisted in getting me fit tested. way different fit tested than I'm used to in the hospital, and having turnouts and boots. Big thank you to the fire cadre and the drill cadre. And apologies to the unfortunate recruits that were sitting behind me, because when the fire would come over, I was like doing the Matrix. It was like the most amazing experience, but I think my heart rate was probably in the 200s every time they kept doing it. So just a big thank you for that. It's such an amazing experience, and something that I'll always be able to reflect on. So just thank you, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Director. All right, let's go to Director Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. Director Sheets, thank you for sharing that. It is an amazing experience, and the more people that can share in that, then the broader our reach and responsibility, expertise we can get out into the community. So thank you so much for doing that. You too.
Hey,
Director Costa, everybody. Okay, thank you, everyone. It was great to hear all these positive aspects of these reports tonight, and I'm looking forward to Saturday. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Next we go to Director Wood.
I have no comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Director Gould.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just once again want to thank Captain Ned Freddie and the entire team, and particularly those men and women who have, out of the kindness of our love, as the chief said, which I fully agree, have decided to take on the responsibility of taking care of their own. I can't think of a higher calling than that, to take your free time, sacrifice yourself in the sense of taking care of other people. So I fully support this initiative. We've seen in the recent years some pretty significant changes in the mental health of our men and women, and we need to continue to be preventative and stay well out ahead of that. So whatever resources I think we need, we need to figure out a way to make that happen. And so I'm very proud of this organization participating in that. And please come back to us anytime you need our support, because I think if we don't take care of the mental health of our folks, then really what are we doing? Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Director. Okay, I just want to thank everyone for the reports. I'm very happy, glad for the progress that we're making. This organization is not only coming together, it's sticking together, and I think we're at a point where we're really working well. Thank you, Chief, for your leadership, and I want to wish everyone, your wives, whoever, happy Mother's Day.
We all have mothers.
We have mothers, yes, of course. Happy Mother's Day. And that's all I have. We're gonna convene into a closed session and get this meeting. Thank you for your time. Yeah.
Party started.
Get back to it and get
Yes,
council
sir.
report out and adjourn this meeting. We're gonna get back into open session.
Thank you, President Clark. The board met in closed session under item number 1, consultation with district council and cybersecurity manager. No reportable action was taken on that matter. Number 2, personnel matters, public employee appointment concerning the board clerk selection process. No reportable action was taken on that item. And number 3, personnel matter, public employee employment for the fire chief selection process. No reportable action was taken. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Our next board meeting is a special board meeting on May 13th at 9 a.m. and then our regular board meeting, 25th of this month at 6 p.m. Having no further business, I declare this meeting adjourned.
Thank you.